Hi, I'm here, Cheryl Connor, with Dr. Betty Murray, and she's going to visit with us about a topic very near and dear to every one of us, and that's women's health. Whether it affects us directly or indirectly, it is important. And so I'm excited to hear a little bit more about what you're doing. So tell us about your company.
You know, I think the important part for everybody to know first is everybody on the planet owes their life to a woman.
They do.
They do. The only reason why we're here is we have women on the planet. And the reality is 87% of women that go through menopause, which 100% of us go through, don't get a pass. The reality is 87% of women are highly symptomatic for at least an average of 8 years. Now, those symptoms are hot flashes and night sweats, but they also lead to greater risks of chronic disease, heart disease, dementia, bone loss, and osteoporosis. And women have been told over the last 20 years that hormone replacement was unsafe based on a single study. And so we have, decades of women who are now suffering. Women live an average of 4.5 more years than men, but in poorer health. So we are the women in assisted living. And so when I look at that data, I've been in the healthcare industry for over 20 years. As a clinic owner, my company, Minerva, is really here to answer that cause. And we're here to help women first and foremost understand their own healthcare and our own situation in their own body. 60% of women in menopause don't even realize the symptoms they're having are part of that hormonal decline.
That's sad.
It's sad, and they think they're losing their mind. They think they can't handle their emotions anymore, and they can't sleep. And so the first is allowing women with a digital app to answer their own symptoms. And many of us are wearing devices like Oura Rings and Whoops and Apple Watches, but to capture that data and be able to supply it back to women with their symptoms in a way that works. Because if you played with that data, you have to open all those different apps and sort of extrapolate your own answers. Yeah.
We still have to be our own doctor.
Exactly. And so in your own hands you have that, but you're able to also order your own labs and capture all that data together. And then we are a telemedicine services company that provides bioidentical hormone replacement across the United States for women in perimenopause and menopause. And part of the technology platform is also to help you align taking your medications and how do you take them and when do you get to that right dose. Louise Newsom did a great study out of England looking at the average dose that's recommended for women. And they found in that study 50% of women were under-supported to protect the brain, the heart, the bones.
Wow.
Despite hot flashes and night sweats getting better. And then when you look at there's 25% of the women that were actually dosed too high on the same medication. So our intent with our telemedicine and technology platform is to also provide predictive, proactive, and preventative care, but also become a flywheel to create products and services for women and provide for research that is woefully underserved.
So this is brand new.
Brand spanking new.
Is it available yet?
So we are currently raising capital to build the technology platform. We are currently providing telemedicine. I bootstrapped that out of my own back pocket. I have a clinic here in Dallas, and I wanted to build the services side and really get the generating revenue side built. So when I built the technology, we would have all pieces together. So we're raising capital today.
Very, very exciting.
Yeah.
Does this work with insurance?
Right now, it's interesting. So, if you look at the insurance model, number one, Medicare and conventional insurance companies, which take direction from Medicare, perceives hormone replacement therapy and treatment for perimenopause and menopause a quality of life issue. So it is not covered by Medicare, which therefore means your traditional PPOs and HMOs do not cover hormone replacement for women. Because they think we're just doing it because we need to feel better, because we don't want to have sex and we're angry.
We should change that. I've been through that.
Yeah, it's not good.
My own success, even though I had natural therapy, because it was not covered by insurance, until I was dosed too much for too long, there was nothing I could do to correct it. It took months.
Yeah, and that's really where we come in. We've been doing hormone replacement for 20 years in our clinic, and so we created a 20-year framework, tens of thousands of patients, and we do laboratory testing. We also check how you metabolize your hormones, because it's not just about the hormones you have or make or take.
So it's individual.
Yes, you have to, because if you were to line up 100 women, we all look very different. There's a very big reason for that, sex hormones. And we have no idea what you were at 2025 when you felt your best, because we don't do preventative pre-testing to sort of get what's your optimal. So instead, the current conventional care says, oh, if you take hormones and you're not having a hot flash, you're good. But I've never had hot flashes or night sweats, and I've been menopausal for 8 years.
But you had other symptoms, I'm sure.
Lots of them. They're for the PhD and the building of this company.
Yes. So this is a huge, huge need.
Huge need.
How will you get the word out about this?
You know, so luckily I've been in this arena for a long time, so I have a podcast called Menopause Mastery. And while we were building sort of the framework of what we understood of our existing patients and then sort of the population at large, for 18 months I ran a quiz and survey. We have 57,000 women's responses. Wow. Yes. So when people ask me, do you know what women think? I'm like, I do.
Database.
I have a database.
I do.
So personally I have a database of about 60,000, and then I have a very, very large reach. I have quite a few friends and partnerships in the medical arena. You know, so the beautiful thing is I actually right now am holding off potential partnerships till we can really start to build the application and the technology. But it'll be very easy to actually get the entire process out.
That is very smart to come out the gate with that kind of ammunition behind you.
Well, you want feedback when you're building. So I came from the tech world. I was actually in tech before medicine, so I was always looking at how how do we bring technology into medicine and add scale and skill, right? And so for me, I was like, I need to have the underpinnings to be able to iterate. And you can't iterate with 100 people, but you can with 5,000.
Yes, you can.
You know, and so
50, 60?
In 15, 60. So then you get a lot of feedback. And so, our excitement is to really get this out in the population. And of course, I look at it as a PhD, an ex-nerd, and somebody in medicine that once we have a large amount of women, now we can really mine that data and start looking for patterns that answer a $1 trillion female health industry if you remove just the weight and weight loss, right? If you look at all the other things, osteoarthritis, PMDD, PCOS, all these other conditions that affect predominantly women, right? Autoimmunity, 10 to 1 female to male.
Wow.
Right?
And we're left out of this in the traditional world of medicine. It is just sad.
Yeah, I think most people don't know. Women were strategically left out of studies, all research. NIH-funded research until 1993. They had to pass a mandate to include women because pharmaceutical companies and science researchers wanted to remove women because our hormones made it difficult. Instead of recognizing more than 50% of the population needed to be studied equally. And if you look at 2023, women over 50 received $53.8 billion of a like $3.4 trillion, not trillion, I'm saying that wrong. Sorry. Yeah, $53.8 million of a $4.3 billion budget.
Wow.
Right? So women spend as much time after menopause as they do in fertility years. We live an average of 30 to 35 years. So that's almost a third of our life without hormones.
And, could live that with higher quality if we have the right kind of services available.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Women have a greater risk for dementia, osteoporosis, and osteoporotic fracture that leads to either loss of mobility or worse, death from a fracture risk.
Not a fun way to spend those extra years.
No. I mean, my mom, I do this for a lot of reasons. My mom had a heart attack and stroke 2 years ago, and she's in assisted living, so she went from fully functioning, managing her own investments to 100% assistance overnight. But when I go see her in her assisted living center, it's full of women. And she happens to be the oldest one there, but there are women there in their 70s that have already lost their mobility, right? So they're trapped.
How much can that be turned around?
Obviously prevention is key, and what we know from a lot of the research looking at women's health is if we do hormone replacement, and we're talking fractions of what you made, and it doesn't mean everybody needs hormone replacement. However, if we put hormone replacement in those important sort of transitional years, that's where we get the best case scenario for the brain. Like if you look at dementia research, it's indicating that if we start hormone replacement, we reduce our risk, depending on the study, anywhere from 23 to 60%. We have some that are that dramatic. Osteoporosis, we have studies looking at older women using really low doses and improving bone density because estrogen therapy was approved by the FDA in 1988 for the treatment of bone density. Yes, osteoporosis. Yes. And it's one of the only drugs that actually showed to improve fracture risk. Denser bones with same fracture risk is not helpful.
That is just amazing.
Yeah.
Well, in some ways, we could say this should have happened 20 years ago or more.
Yeah.
But look what's possible now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and there's, and there was a single study that sort of put us into this trajectory. Women up until 2002 in the Women's Health Initiative received hormone replacement as standard of care. It wasn't even a question. It was like, oh, you're 50, here you go.
Well, tell me what the funding opportunity is like.
Yeah, so we are currently in a pre-seed, although we are revenue positive. So we're in a pre-seed. We just are, finalizing a friends and family round. We're raising 1.5 as a safe note with a discount, and
that's small. That's not hard. So friends and family is still open.
Friends and family is still open
for how much longer?
And till the end of October.
End of October. Okay,
Yep.
So there is a short window there. This sounds like a big opportunity.
Yes, and then our next round we're going to raise 3.5. And we know we can have that app and technology platform out. Like I said, I'm holding off people that want to promote, the telemedicine, so we just need the runway to continue to build services. Even while we're building the technology, we can still start to serve more and more women with telemedicine.
Well, I commend you. You've done a lot of things really right. And as a communicator, most of the times I hear things I wish I could change, and you've made some great decisions.
Oh, thank you.
So, not very often do we see something this compelling come out with that much structure behind it.
Yeah, and I have a really awesome team.
That is great.
Yeah, Kelly Resendez joined the team. She helped scale the company that she just left from 50 million. I think their last valuation is over 12 billion. I was like, fabulous. I need somebody that knows that operational skill.
That is just great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really honored to get an introduction to this, and I have a strong hunch this isn't the last time we'll be talking.
I don't think so.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Now, for people who are interested, how do we find you?
Yeah, so probably the easiest way to find me is I'm obviously on the social media. You can listen to my podcast at Menopause Mastery, or if you're looking on social media, Dr. Betty Murray. You can also reach out to Dr. Murray at getminerva.com, and we can probably put that in the show notes as well.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes,
I really appreciate this.
Thank you.